folks, and welcome to another video on the Uilleann pipes here. Today we're going to have a look at something a little bit special. It's going to be a practice set made by the great pipe maker Leo Rowsome. So let's get started and have a look. So for those of you out there who don't know, Leo Rowsome is considered the king of the pipers in that he was an established player, performer of the instrument. He was a teacher of the instrument, and also he was a very important maker of the instruments. So Leo was pretty much single-handedly responsible for creating the instrument as we know it today. That is the sort of concert pitch, like loud, singing, popular kind of sound that we know and love. So the set I'm going to take a look at today is one that I've had for a good number of years now. I'm actually the second owner. It originally belonged to one of Leo's students. That would be Stella Hart. She was a founding member of the Uilleann, and I'll show you some photographs in a second of her at all the early sort of Bettystown Chanels. Her husband Frank Hart was a famous singer who recorded a load of albums with Uilleann. So this sort of thing here, yeah. So he did a lot of stuff in the 70s and the 80s, sort of ballads. From the sort of Dublin tradition for Uilleann's record company, and they were very, very popular.
You lovers all, both great and small, who dwell in Ireland, well, I hope you...
Yeah, he's pretty much well known as one of the best singers in that sort of genre within Irish music. He was also an architect, and he had a great deal of work for the Uilleann, reinventing their current headquarters in Henrietta Street in Dublin. So yeah, a good link with the pipes, and Stella herself being a student of Leo. So yeah, let's take a little look at the pipes and see what kind of octopus we're dealing with here. Okay, so I've got the pipes up here ready to go. Before we take a look at the chanter, let's just have a look at some of the other components first. So this is a practice set. Stella Hart was a student of Leo's, so this is what she would have learnt on whenever she was younger. The bellows are really lovely made. They're actually considerably smaller than what you'd expect, like a sort of modern bellows, and they are certainly like a lot skinnier, so they sort of close a lot nicer than that. If you think about like the sort of modern, strapped in, arm locked kind of bellows, these ones are a bit more like the old style ones, which I actually prefer. It's the kind of thing that I would play normally. A little bit of a problem. If I move this out of the way, the blowpipe between like the bellows and the bag was actually like sewn into the bellows, so you can't really, it's a bit sort of flaccid, a bit wobbly. I much prefer like a little brass connection that you can put like a bit of car radiator hose into. It's a bit sturdier. But this was the style at the time. All the other makers around that era were doing this sort of thing. Like you'll see the same on like the sort of, I guess, like the Kennedy sets and the Crowleys. This one's particularly nice. Oh, if you have a look here, you can see we're stamped there. Yeah, Leo Rowsome, Dublin. So he pretty much stamped most bellows and most main stocks. He didn't stamp every chanter, and this chanter's actually not stamped. But, it's very obviously the work of Leo. We have an interesting little piping pig that Stella made to go over the blowpipe. The bellows inlet valve there. Stops your shirt getting sucked into it. It doesn't affect the playability at all. And these little hinges, classic Leo. The velvet on here, supposedly he made these out of some curtains, and you'll see this type of fabric covering on his bellows and on his bags throughout the years. So he must have got a lot of use out of the curtains. Cool, let's have a look at the bag. So this is like a really standard Leo Rowsome sort of template for the bag, and one that a lot of people sort of mimic today. Yeah, it's quite square, really. It's got a lovely little cover on it, like little leather, little frills. This blowpipe is classic Leo. Often he would make the little blowpipes out of a bit of boxwood. Give me 1 second, I've got another one somewhere. Here we go. So that's another Leo blowpipe. So yeah, very, very similar. Just like a little bit of boxwood that I turned down. Pretty much all the student models were made out of boxwood. So the fact that this one is like an ebony chanter is really, really interesting. It's definitely one of the higher end ones. And yeah, the bit at the top here, that's a big chunk of boxwood as well, just tied in into the bag. So yeah, quite a nice bag. Nice, I guess, like a leather on leather, you know. Yeah, nicely stitched in, sewed in. Yeah, all hand done. Yeah, very nice. Just move these away and then we can chat about the chanter. Right, so this is the main attraction, the star of the show, I guess. So this is, without a doubt, like a really early Leo chanter. So I suppose the earlier ones are more sought after. So in the old days, he would have taken over from his father Willie and used the same sort of tools to make these kind of D-chanters. A lot of people think about Leo's work as being scalloped, but if you have a look here, like the scallops on the fingers are very, very soft, very subtle. I mean, the strongest we've got here, let me take this bit of tape off actually. It's not doing anything, it's just getting in the way. The most scalloped note here really is the back D, and even that is very, very subtly scalloped. There's not much in that, you know. Yeah, not a lot of scalloping. Yeah, pretty much what you'd expect, quite big tone holes. You know, a little bit smaller than sort of modern makers, but still, yeah, particularly nice chanter, this one. It is, from top to bottom, 14 inches, so that sort of, I guess, clarifies that it's one of the earlier ones. He sort of experimented with like longer and longer chanters as the fashions changed over the years, but still the 14 inches are still the most sort of wanted of the Leo chanters, I guess. We think about someone like Liam O'Flynn's piping, you know, that's like a 14-inch chanter, and a lot of modern makers will be emulating that sort of style, that style of chanter. Yeah, so yeah, I guess natural mounts, top and bottom, which was, I suppose, the style at the old times. It wasn't illegal back then. We have a bit of an interesting doodad down here, this little gizmo. So this is like a little popper. These were popular, like, I suppose, like 200 years ago. Or no, maybe not that long ago, but certainly like makers like the Taylor Bullers popularized these. And basically what they did was, rather than having to seal the joint on a piece of leather on your leg, you can just pop that on there. Now this is not made out of ivory. This is a bit of plastic. It's called Catlin. So it was like a really early like ivory substitute that looked normal in the at the very, very start, and then over the years it sort of became this really weird orange color. And I'm actually quite a big fan of this. You know, I love a lot of sets that have this on it, and I have a few other sets around the same sort of era, or maybe a little bit later, that have Catlin on it. That's quite cool. So I know that this is also Leo's, because even though it's like a bit of sort of chromed brass or something like that it's made out of, rather than the silver like the rest of the set. Because I've seen another Leo chanter, actually more than one, that has this sort of bottle cap configuration that he made, and also seen it on the top of the chanter as well. And they had like that little sort of bottle cap, which is quite cool. Let's talk about the top of the chanter. Yeah, so pretty much Leo just made these chanter caps out of whatever he had lying around. So this one here is really, really cool. It's kind of like, it looks a lot like what the Taylors would have done with the little sort of hat on top, I guess. But I have no idea what this is. It's like a silver like ring or a washer or something with a bit of ebony and then just the ivy around it. It's kind of cool, kind of unique. Also worth pointing out how massive these inlet valves are compared to what modern makers might do. I've got another one here just to compare it. So yeah, just to compare it with something like this one, like it's actually telescopic. It fits in there. So it gives you an idea that there's quite like a bit of a. I've heard someone describe them as a gulping for air, and in a lot of ways, how much air gets into the before the reed actually affects the tone in a big way. So yeah, fair play. He must have known that. Yeah, clever guy. And let's have a look at the actual. It's probably worth pointing out before we go on to have a look at the reed. So most of the silver on this is actually from like silver tubing. which is kind of, must have been hard to get in those days. So prior to this, a lot of makers would have made their silver tubes by like rolling it from like a sheet metal and then soldering the seam. Now this is actually what Leo's done here with this, but where's the seam on that? Yeah, you can kind of see it there. Yeah, so this little collar here, you can see that's been made out of a little bit of sheet silver and then spun around on a mandrel to make it fit in. So yeah, kind of cool and really lovely proportions, very inspired by Uilleann, inspired by the Taylor brothers. Yeah. And yeah, let's have a look at the reed. So this is a new reed by Donica Dwyer, who did like the reeds for Liam O'Flynn's and Seamus Ennis's set. So I had him do a nice read for me. It's really sings, really captures that sort of Leo kind of sound. Yeah, lovely stuff. There's like a little brass collar as well on the top of the reed seat. The top of the chanter, where the reed seat is. So that's just a little brass collar that goes all the way down. Maybe like turned it a little bit too close to the wood, and then the cap didn't fit on properly. So just a little brass collar there to make things a bit easier. So when I got this, there was no keys for it, so I had these keys added in by Sam Lawrence, who made them. They were sort of custom made for this chanter in the classic Leo style, so sort of like hand forged. Yeah, these are very tricky to make if you've ever tried to make one like this or whatever. But yeah, they work really, really nicely. Yeah, so you got your high C, got your F natural key. Yeah, just lovely stuff all around. I suppose if you really wanted, you could, have like another like little foot made out of just a bit of tubing, bit of silver tubing if you didn't get on with this. But I really love these. I think I love the aesthetic they help if you're trying to, play in an awkward position, or, if you want to do like the giant Owen playing standing up. Also, probably worth pointing out that this one has like a big rush up it as well. So that's literally just like a big bit of wood that goes all up, to almost to the high D at the back, and that's just used for tuning it up. So being such like a little short chanter like this here, they typically played at sharp of sort of modern concert pitch. So what Leo used to do was put these like rushes up there, and I remember asking Leo's daughter Uilleann about this one time, and I was like, I've heard a lot of people like debating whether or not it was intentional that there was like a rush that went up the middle, or whether that was like a design flaw or whatever. Some people say, if you've ever got to put anything up your chanter, then it's a flaw. And she told me that in Leo's little workshop, he had all these like rushes up in the rafters, and whenever she was a kid, when she was allowed to go in there, she thought that it was like a thatched roof because there was that many rushes in there. So there you are. That was from the horse's mouth, so to speak. And I actually have the original reed for this. Give me 1 second. I'll see if I can dig it out. Yeah, here we go. So yeah, that's the original Leo reed. So he made these reeds a lot smaller than the sort of modern Gulpins, but yeah, like a hand rolled staple, a good size down there, and then just looks like it's been like varnished or shellacked or something like that. Really cool. Nice one to have. Yeah, not a million miles off, but yeah, you can see. Okay, let's have a listen and hear how it sounds. yeah, so once again, everyone, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video today. Just nice to have a little look at a nice set of pipes from one of the, what's often considered the greatest pipe maker of all time. So yeah, just nice to have a little playthrough with that. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. The usual sort of YouTube stuff. It really helps out with the channel and helps me to produce more stuff like this. So thanks everyone for watching. Cheers, goodbye, see you again.